Just a day before my wedding, my fiancé Eric ran away right in front of everyone from my best friend, Gloria. I somehow traveled back in time to when I was 17. This time, I'm ready to take on the jerks. But things didn't go as planned. A massive fire woke up my memories. Who really left me at the altar back then? After getting ditched, I found myself back at 17. I woke up groggy at my school desk to a familiar voice saying, "Bella, your homework." Then, bam, a notebook landed right in front of me. Looking up, I saw a tall, handsome guy with a smirk, Eric. The guy I'd had a crush on forever. Everyone around just whispered and laughed. It was an open secret how much I liked Eric. Back in the day, I liked him from high school, almost losing my self-respect chasing him into college. We eventually got together. He used to compliment my eyes, calling them beautiful, and I just soaked it up. Fast forward 10 years, on my wedding day to Eric, high school beauty Gloria appeared in a wedding dress. The moment she walked in, Eric's hands started shaking. Gloria cried and confessed her love for him, saying she'd been denying their feelings for years. Honestly, I was shocked and Eric cried and bolted towards Gloria without even giving me a second glance. He kissed her right in front of everyone. "Sorry, Bella, sorry," he said as he held Gloria's hand and together they ran out like some scene from a drama. That's when it hit me. It wasn't my eyes Eric loved. He liked Gloria's eyes, mine just reminded him of them. He'd been looking for the goddess he admired through me all those years. I walked off, tossed my wedding ring into the trash, and wished them well. Hopefully, they'll stick together and not hurt anyone else. Eric wasn't collecting homework, he wanted me to do it for him. Everyone was willing to help, and he was basically spoiled. But I've been through rebirth, no way I'm putting up with that. I stood up and slammed the notebook back at him. "Why don't you have your mom do it?" Everyone was shocked. Time seemed to freeze. Eric just stared at me in disbelief. "Bella, are you nuts? What's with the attitude?" he barked. I shot back, "The way you are is how I'll treat you. Remember, do your own homework. You got 2 hands and a brain, right? Being able to walk on your own is a key step in human evolution." I let loose, unloading all my pent-up anger. Eric, embarrassed, yelled, "Whatever. Do it or don't do it," and stormed off. That's when my friend Gloria approached and said, "Bella, glad you woke up. Stay away from guys like Eric from now on." Seeing Gloria awakened my painful memories. Not saying a word, I walked out, heading to the school's rooftop. I needed a breather to reflect on the past life. It was the class president, Mike, who saved me. He found his way to the rooftop, saw me sobbing over old memories, and awkwardly asked, "Bella, everyone's looking for you. Are you okay? You can talk to me." Looking up at him, Mike was nerdy cute with his glasses and quiet charm. I wiped my tears. I mean, I've been reborn, I shouldn't be stuck in the past, right? Mike, relieved that I'd stopped crying, asked, "Wanna head back to class? Or need a moment alone? I can ask for a leave." I boldly said, "Thanks, Mike, but I'm heading back." We returned just in time for study period. Eric, irritated, marched up to me and Mike, trapping us by the door. Mike quickly ducked out of the way. "You're crazy," I said, frowning. Eric, trying to save face, demanded, "Bella, apologize. Otherwise, we're done sharing a desk." I laughed out loud. "Great, go talk to the teacher. I've had enough of sitting with you anyway. All you do is fight and mess around. It's distracting." Caught off guard, Eric spat, "Didn't you say you liked that?" I coldly replied, "Oh, sorry, nope. No more fighting guys for me." "And what do you like now?" He pressed on. "Why do you care?" I snapped back. "I like guys who do well in school, like..." I glanced around and pulled Mike over, proclaiming, "Like our class president." Eric's face darkened as he'd never been put down like this in front of everyone. Repeat that? He growled. I like smart guys. Get it? With that, I confidently headed back to my seat, leaving behind a loud door slam. That night, I had a weird dream. I dreamt of being pushed and trapped. Several girls cornered me in the bathroom, slapping me and tearing at my shirt, calling me names. The ringleader was Gloria. In desperation, I bit her arm to break free, only for Eric to block my escape, shoving me back into Gloria's grasp. Gloria slapped me hard, screaming, "Think you can run?" The punches and burns overwhelmed me, until a beam of light cut through the darkness and a strong arm pulled me to safety. In reality, I'd crashed into Mike's eyes. He quietly whispered, math class." Confused, I looked at him just as the math teacher tossed a piece of chalk at me. Bella. Sleeping behind an English book during math? Mike, I saw you switching the books. The room burst into laughter as I stood, heading to the back to stand as punishment. Eric turned around, glaring at me. Since our confrontation, we'd switched seats. Eric got his wish to sit with his goddess, Gloria, while Mike took the seat next to mine. When it was time to change seats, Gloria looked super reluctant. I covered my face, recalling the nightmare I had, feeling a bit uneasy inside. I accidentally rolled up my sleeve and noticed 2 scars on my arm, like burn marks from a cigarette. Wait a minute. When did I get these scars? I stared at them, unable to remember how or when I got them. I quickly forgot about it though, because word got around that Eric and Gloria were together. They held hands in secret, their gazes syrupy sweet. Later, when the teacher wasn't in the room, Eric publicly confessed to Gloria. He even got down on one knee, just like in a TV drama, prompting our classmates to cheer loudly. While Eric held Gloria in his arms, he looked over at me with a challenging smirk. It was like he wanted to see if I regretted anything. But what was there to regret? After school, Eric blocked my path. I looked up. What do you want? Eric suddenly grinned, his lips curling. Bella, are you playing hard to get with me? How does it feel to fail? I stared at him calmly. I clearly had no feelings for him anymore. Why was I ever so obsessed with him before? After being reborn, I only felt disgust, not love. Eric, whatever I felt before, I really don't like you now. Gloria started avoiding me after going public with Eric. Not just that, every time Eric talked to me, she'd give me an annoyed look, her eyes full of displeasure. Later, some classmates told me Gloria was bad-mouthing me behind my back, calling me a shameless girl who still had a thing for Eric. She sneered about me, "Look at Bella, she's worthless." I just ignored her, keeping busy studying with Mike every day. Mike's a good student, he knows all the answers and is willing to explain things to me. He even covers for me using his class monitor status when I forget my homework. Where else can you find such a good desk mate? And every time I thanked him with a big smile, his ears turned a bit red. Time flew by, and soon it was time for the school's annual sports day. Just as the teacher predicted, no one was eager to sign up. So the teacher and the sports committee, led by Eric, made everyone sign up for at least one event. I asked Mike what he would sign up for. He hesitated and said, 3-legged race? I'm not great at sports. I laughed, then I'll sign up too. Let's team up, okay? Sure. We signed up, but the next day, the teacher announced that Mike and I were split up. Mike got reassigned to another event, while I got paired with Eric for the 3-legged race. Right away, Gloria shot me a jealous look. I immediately objected. Excuse me, Mike and I signed up for the 3-legged race together, why were we separated? Before Eric could say anything, the teacher explained, because no one in the class wanted to participate, the sports committee signed up for too many intense events, so I made the decision to assign him to a less intense one. Mike's tall, he can do high jump too. I had nothing to say. Mike, being the class monitor, didn't question the teacher's decision either. I didn't expect that this reassignment would be the start of trouble. Since the events were announced, Eric kept finding excuses to pull me away for practice. The next time he called me out, I was mad. What's there to train for in a three-legged race? Eric nonchalantly replied, every event matters. I'm hoping to win for our class. So, don't you need to practice for your other events? I'm confident in the others, it's just the one with you I'm unsure about. I was at a loss for words. A three-legged race requires teamwork and coordination, which I lacked. When I was about to leave, Mike stopped me. Bella. You haven't finished explaining this question. Sorry, desk mate, I'll be back. Before I could finish, Eric dragged me away. What's your problem, Eric? Let go. Mike looked a bit sad. On the field, our shadows were uneven, our steps chaotic and out of sync. Eric asked me casually, can I ask you something? Go ahead. Why did you suddenly stop liking me? Just as he said that, I stumbled and fell forward, losing my B-mics. Watch out. Eric caught me, and I ended up falling onto him. As I tried to get up, Eric held onto my hand. You still haven't answered me. Every girl likes me, why did you change? His heart was pounding, so loudly I could hear it. I don't like self-centered people, Eric. I looked at his face. Besides using your looks to mess with people, what else is there to like about you? Our conversation ended on a sour note, and as I was returning, I noticed Gloria had been standing on the sideline, watching for a long time. When I passed by Gloria, her eyes were filled with almost hateful light. In the next second, she raised her hand to slap me, but I caught her hand just in time. Gloria shouted angrily, her delicate face twisted with rage. Bella, don't you have any shame? Eric is my boyfriend now, don't you know that? Hearing this, I felt a surge of anger, grabbing her arm and pushing her to the ground. Open your eyes and see clearly. It's your boyfriend who wanted to practice with me. It's my and Mike's event that got changed, not me trying to get with him. If your brain can't think beyond petty rivalry, you might as well drop out. He's just a guy, look at you now. Eric ran over to help Gloria up, who angrily shook him off. I coldly threw out, I hope you two stay together and don't harm anyone else. After that, Gloria and Eric had a huge fight. During a study period they whispered about something. Eric got more and more upset and suddenly stormed out, while Gloria cried at her desk. They broke up. Kids' relationships are like that. I thought it had nothing to do with me, but rumors started flying around the class. Everyone gave me weird looks. They said I was a homewrecker, that Eric and Gloria broke up because of me. The class started isolating and bullying me. The guys were okay, but the girls were snide and catty. Some girls can't do anything right, but they're champs at stealing boyfriends. I got more and more annoyed, fed up with the gossip. Only Mike comforted me, talked to me, making me feel like there was still someone normal in the class. But I didn't expect Gloria to go completely nuts. On my way home, in a small alley, Gloria brought a group to corner me. There were 7 or 8 people behind her, definitely not from our school. Those mean girls held me down without a word, and I couldn't break free despite struggling. With backup, Gloria suddenly had courage. I looked at Gloria in disbelief. Do you know what you're doing? I was pinned down and ended up getting slapped hard by her. Gloria kept muttering, I knew it all along. What happened next was eerily similar to a dream I had. They cornered me and attacked, pulling my hair, slapping, tearing my clothes. People passed by and turned away. One of the girls handed Gloria a half-smoked cigarette, telling her to burn me with it. Gloria, urged on, took the cigarette and was about to do it. Suddenly, an arm was in front of me. I opened my eyes to see, it was Mike. The kid was frowning, using his body to shield me from the others. The cigarette burned Mike's arm, and he yanked me out of the crowd and ran. I never knew Mike could run that fast. He held my hand, pulling me forward, like the person who dragged me out of darkness that day. After we lost them completely, Mike finally stopped, gasping for air. It was then I realized his glasses were gone. Mike, why were you there? He looked uneasy. I couldn't stop worrying about you. The breeze moved, and the sunset light reflected on his face, making my heart skip a beat as I looked at him. Eric took me home and promised to always walk me back from now on. But I swore I'd never let today happen again. The first thing I did when I got home was tell my parents about the bullying. They were furious, wanting to confront the school, but I stopped them. There were cameras in the noodle shop across the alley. We called the police for the footage, ready to take the evidence to school. If they've done this, they need to pay the price. My parents nodded, but then wondered, Bella, how did you know there were cameras there? The question stumped me. Good point, how did I know? It felt like I couldn't remember things, yet some memories were etched so deeply inside. The next day, we went to the school with proof, and it got their attention. Gloria and Eric's parents were called in. It was funny, when asked if they were in a relationship, Eric denied it. He said, I never liked Gloria, it was all in her head. I almost laughed out loud. Turns out, what you can't have is what's most cherished. Once you have it, it's dirtier than mosquito blood. Gloria lost it and cried. Eric's words shattered all her dignity. The school gave Gloria a serious consequence, but her bullying with outsiders was all over the place. Gloria couldn't live normally anymore and eventually transferred. I heard before she left, her last words to Eric were, how could I ever like someone like you? I bought Mike a new pair of glasses. On a sleepy afternoon in math class, even Mike couldn't resist nodding off. He pinched himself to stay awake. I had already surrendered, laying my head down, watching Mike. His skin was fair, eyelashes long, looking noble and handsome. Without glasses, there was a stupid clarity in his gaze. With nothing else to do, I watched him and spun a pen. My skills were bad, and I kept dropping it in front of him. Each time, he patiently handed it back to me. I said, Bella, stop listening to the class, let's listen to music. I chuckled cheekily and pulled out my phone and headphones. I said, half lie down like me, let's listen and nap for a bit. Mike hesitated, given he was class president. I just stuffed the earbud in his ear, and he obediently laid down, our eyes meeting. In the stuffy classroom, music flowed through the earphones. I made Mike a little rebel for once. If you don't like it, we can change the song. I like it, Mike replied without a second thought. His eyelashes fluttered lightly, like butterfly wings. I passed him a note, he slowly unfolded it, his face turning red. After a long pause, he picked up a pen, wrote another line, and handed it to me. Our eyes met, everything else falling silent. It was our afternoon, one I'd never forget. Moving into senior year, the exams loomed closer, and school pressure grew heavier. Choosing a major, where to go, all became topics in casual chit-chat. Eric once specifically asked me where I planned to go. His awkwardness was clear. After the Gloria incident, he rarely spoke to me. I told Eric I didn't know, and he said to tell him when I figured it out. I didn't respond. I knew he didn't like me, he just liked what he couldn't have. I asked Mike, where do you want to go? Mike was firm, Military Police Academy. Oh, you want to be in the military police? No, he said. There's a firefighting course. I want to be a firefighter. When he said it, his eyes shone. Yet for some reason, the word firefighter made my heart chill immediately. A hard-to-explain oppressive feeling rose, but I smiled, firefighting's great. But that unsettling feeling stayed with me all day. That night, I had another strange dream. I dreamt of a wedding with Eric, with flames engulfing my dress. People ran in chaos, Eric and Gloria didn't even look back. I screamed, calling Mike's name. And then, Mike appeared, watching quietly from the side. Flames danced around him. He smiled bitterly, being swallowed by the fire. I woke up drenched in sweat, as if it all really happened. But it wasn't real. The next day, I nervously asked Mike, do you have to be a firefighter? Mike quietly replied, my life was saved by one. As a child, his house caught fire. Alone, He almost lost consciousness when a firefighter broke in and saved him. Mike survived because of that. He wanted to be just like that firefighter. But it's dangerous, you know? I know, Mike said. I looked seriously. Mike, why not go to the same college as me? Mike was stunned. Be with me, I said. Asking him to give up a dream felt cruel, but I said it anyway. I thought he'd find it odd and refuse. But, he smiled warmly, stroked my hair, and said, Bella, no matter how often, I'd choose the same. What do you mean? I asked. He didn't say any more, and we tacitly avoided talking about firefighting. After the college entrance exams, both Mike and I scored well. We entered the same university in the same city, having confirmed our relationship. Later on, my life started to change bit by bit. Mike and I studied together, went to grad school, graduated, and got married. We even had a cute little daughter. We named her Coco. Mike was so good to me, gentle as ever for 10 years. He poured all his love into me and Coco. I was grateful countless times for the second chance I got, for meeting such a good person, and for having all of this. But I was grateful too soon. The happiness that was temporarily lent to me was bound to be taken back eventually. In the quiet of midnight, I caught a whiff of something burning. It wasn't until the smell became overwhelming and I felt the heat that I finally woke up. When I woke up, flames had already taken over almost half the room. I frantically woke Mike up, but when he went to get Coco, she had already passed out from too much smoke inhalation. I looked at Mike in a panic. We called the fire department, but we woke up too late. It was all too late. The flames quickly spread to our room, and the smoke was thick. There was no way we could wait for rescue. Mike looked at me with tears in his eyes, something I rarely saw. He said, Bella, one of us has to make it. What? His eyes were full of tears. He only cried twice before, once on our wedding day and once when Coco was born. For the third time, he said, I'm grateful I could be with you this far. I have no regrets. Mike broke the window and had me hold Coco on the outside of the balcony. We were on the 8th floor. Looking down was terrifying, but Mike stayed inside the balcony, holding onto my hand tightly. At least outside, there was fresh air. We could survive, but Mike couldn't. He wouldn't make it. I choked out his name, Mike, I'm scared. His eyes were red, and he mumbled, don't let go. Bella, don't let go. The smoke was thick, and he held onto my hand tighter and tighter. I feared he would lose consciousness, and I feared he'd be burnt alive. I called his name. But he didn't answer. I cried in terror, trembling at the thought of losing him. The scene that haunted my dreams for years finally caught up with us. I don't know how long it was before I heard the sirens. I screamed excitedly, they're here to save us. We're going to be okay, Mike, did you hear me? Mike. But my voice stopped suddenly. Because I saw the flames engulf him, half his body sagging against the balcony wall, unconscious. Only his arms still held onto me tightly. When the rescue team came, I screamed at them, save my husband first. Please save him first. But Mike was already gone, like a leaf fallen into the flames, drifting further away. I knew he wasn't coming back. Before I lost consciousness, I seemed to hear his voice again. Bella, I have no regrets. I seemed to drift in the darkness for a very long time. So many voices flooded my mind, chaotic and overwhelming. He died. Bella, I'm sorry. Why did he have to go on a mission before the wedding? Bella, this time I want to be brave for myself. Mike's last words were that he had no regrets. You thought you could compete for Eric's attention? Big, small, noisy. All the voices almost broke me. When I opened my eyes, a beam of light shone into my eyes. The voices disappeared instantly. Bella, you're awake. I stared blankly at the man in a white coat next to me, his face was completely unfamiliar. My first words were, where's Mike? The man told me Mike was gone. I was silent for a long time. That leaf had finally burnt to ashes. What about Coco? There was no Coco. My lips trembled. No Coco? The man nodded, handing me a ring, asking if I remembered it. I took it. It was the ring I threw out on the day Eric betrayed me. For some reason, I felt strangely calm. Until I saw the little words inside the ring. The names were Mike and mine. There was no Eric. In that moment, the calm I was trying to maintain shattered instantly. Forgotten memories resurfaced. I was in a wedding dress, face full of tears, clutching a man's collar, screaming in front of everyone, "Why did you have to send Mike on that mission? Bring him back to me." Why? I'm sorry. I stumbled back, laughing, "No, you're all lying to me." Tears blurred my vision. When I remembered everything, I finally cried out, heartbroken. Even Mike deceived me. There was no crossing time, no rebirth. Some memories after rebirth were clear, some fuzzy, because none of it was real. The person I loved was always Mike. Eric and Gloria were the people I hated the most in high school. I suffered bullying in high school because of them. Honestly, you don't need a reason to hate or bully someone. Gloria had a crush on Eric for a long time. When I was moved to sit next to Eric by the teacher, I was thrown into despair. I was quiet, but Eric liked to talk to me. Gloria thought he liked me, and since I looked like an easy target, that meaningless bullying began. They would throw things, deliberately hitting me. They gossiped that I was born sleazy, only talking to Eric, not other boys. Gloria even brought people to the restroom to trap me, burning me with a cigarette. For a while, I was the unluckiest person in class. Eric laughed it off, but only Mike stood up for me. He caught books thrown at my head, pulled me out when I was surrounded, and even asked the teacher to sit next to me. I asked why he helped me. He asked why I didn't fight back. I had done nothing wrong. He said he couldn't stand it as class president. But as he spoke, his ears turned red, eyes avoiding mine. Later, on my way home, some guys from another school cornered me, slapped me, held me down, trying to tear off my clothes. In utter despair, at my most frightened, Mike saved me. That day, the cigarette burned him instead. His glasses got smashed, and we both got beaten up. I cried over his broken glasses. That day, I decided not to hold back anymore. I told my parents, reported it to the school, but Gloria denied everything. She called it a joke between classmates. But what kind of joke burns people with cigarettes? They refused to admit it, and the school wanted to keep things quiet, ending it with a half-hearted apology from Gloria. But the bullying got worse. After that, Mike snuck out every night during study hall. I didn't know what he was doing. One day, Gloria didn't show up to school. The school reported that she'd been bullying others and gave her a serious punishment. That's when I found out about the stuff Mike had been doing on the DL. He was sure there were security cameras in that alley. He went around asking every shopkeeper near the school for a long time until finally, he got the footage from the owner of a rice noodles shop. With the video, Gloria got the punishment she deserved. Before Gloria left, Eric told the teacher he didn't know anything, that Gloria wanted to do it herself. But he knew everything. He liked watching girls fight over him. A little teasing with one girl could stir up a whole fight and drag another girl into the mess. He thrived on this kind of thing because it made him feel charming. As Gloria was leaving, she said to him, "How could I ever like someone like you? Memories can be fuzzy, but I still hold on to the good ones." It was one afternoon during math class. I passed a note to Mike while wearing my headphones. It had just 4 words on it. "I like you." I waited nervously for Mike to respond. A little bit later, he gently tapped my arm, handing the note back to me. In neat handwriting, it read, "After the test, I'll wait for you." In that moment, I knew what it felt like to have a crush and to be hopeful. If I were to like anyone, it would be someone like Mike. I'll always love gentle people. After we finished high school, we ended up together and planned to study in the same city. I always knew Mike dreamed of becoming a firefighter. I supported him no matter what he wanted to do. Even if the job was dangerous, even if he barely had time to see me or plan our wedding. I still dreamed of being his bride. But life can be cruel like that. Mike died the night before our wedding. He was on duty and he didn't make it back. I just couldn't get it. Why was it him? He was supposed to be on vacation, we had just said goodnight. Why did a fire break out in the middle of the night that needed him? Why him? I waited and waited, only to find out he had died when the wedding was about to start. Mike's final wish was to have the ring delivered to me by his teammate. Wearing my wedding dress, holding that ring, I cried and laughed all at once. I grabbed onto his teammate, wailing like a madwoman in front of everyone. How could he just leave me like that? Those bullying memories never left me, like a nightmare haunting my dreams. I felt like I was drowning in the dark without him. Only Mike, would comfort me, saying, "I'm here." He would pull me back from the edge, every single time I woke from nightmares. My light went out that day. I lost my mind. I refused to believe Mike died, I was delusional. I switched the main characters of that darkest day to people I hated the most. Eric and Gloria betrayed me, but Mike didn't die. I could still go back to being 17 and start over with Mike. Erase those ugly memories and fall in love with Mike again. This time I would actively love him, face the bullying head on, and in my delusions, we got married and had kids. I was just so weak. I couldn't be without him. Even in dreams, Mike remained gentle. He told me, no matter how many times, he'd still make the same choice. Because he, too, was once saved in a dangerous moment. Growing up, he wanted to help others. Even though I was resistant to firefighters in my dreams and made him switch majors to escape that disaster. Eventually, that unavoidable fire caught up with me. Mike braced himself and traded his life for ours. Like a fallen leaf, he had been gone for a very long time. The dream was finally ending. There was no Coco, no Mike. I had to keep living alone. This was my final therapy session, and the doctor told me that my recovery hinged on accepting the truth. So, can you accept Mike's death now? Will you come back to the real world? Your family is still waiting for you. My nose tingled and I burst into tears. I looked carefully at the ring and slowly slid it onto my finger. Drawing back the curtains, the daylight poured in, bathing me in the sun's glow. Mike, you said you didn't regret it. Did you know I'd forgive you? I forgive you. I accept it.